Good morning, Kyle. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was great, and it was great receiving your, I guess not really a letter, but your testimonial about your experience and that with moving the human spirit.
Mhm,
So we thought it would be a great opportunity to have a verbal conversation around the exact same experiences,
mhm.
so that we can share it out there into the world and put it on our website.
Wonderful. I'm excited to share it with the world.
So I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but really just you are already a certified coach, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so you came into the trauma informed certification as an ICF credentialed coach. Okay, excellent. So
Yes. Yes.
so let's talk a little bit about, let's go back to the beginning when you and I first had our conversation. So, what were your concerns when you think back to that conversation? What were the concerns, the hesitations,
Mhm.
that I was able to support you on in allowing you to say, yes, this is the right program for me?
Yeah, as I was writing my testimonial, my article, I was really thinking about that, kind of going back, and I remember our call that we had. I think you were traveling during it, and you still took a call with me. And what I really appreciated was the focus on understanding why I wanted to take this, my level of knowledge around trauma and coaching, and really understanding me as a person. A lot of coach training programs, it's kind of let us give you a pitch for 20 minutes and then let us send you email after email trying to sign you up. And instead, it was understanding, am I even the right person for this? Is this the right program for me? And then what I appreciated is this program isn't just about becoming trauma informed. It's not just about becoming a better coach, but it's both of those. How do you become a trauma informed coach? How do you work with trauma with clients? And it was really that depth. And I haven't found any other programs out there since even doing this program that really combine those two together. And that's what you were able to answer that yes, everything on our website's real. We do all that. And that's really the focus of the program, the expertise of the program that I appreciated.
Yeah, I think we pride ourselves a lot in not being salesy.
Hmm.
It's just not our style. And just yeah, and supporting those and having them understand seeing a greater picture and how
Hmm.
they fit into that picture. And
Yeah, and
so,
it really answered that question for me. What is this program about? What am I going to get out of it? The level of depth and all of that was answered. And then it wasn't just, okay, we're going to sell you this vision, but it was also carried out and then it exceeded all those expectations, the program.
oh, good. Well, I'm glad we exceeded them. That's our goal. When you were looking at other programs, were there specific deal breakers or must-haves that you were looking for?
Yeah, I already had a lot of coach training, so I wanted a program that really was going to dive into trauma, but I wanted to understand how trauma played out in the coaching relationship and with clients. So a lot of programs, it's just become an expert in trauma. I didn't want that. I already had experience with mental health. I wrote my dissertation on it. And I also didn't want a program that was just become a better coach. It was really that intersection of how do you work with trauma in coaching. This was the only program I found that really addressed that specific niche. But it wasn't just that as well. It's how does trauma come out? Not just you're going to be coaching people on trauma because that's not what it is, but how do you be trauma informed in every single conversation you have?
Yeah.
So this was really the only program that actually checked that box.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So that's good information for us. Okay, let's talk about your program experience.
Hmm.
So, in your article, you had noted about the program that it dives far deeper than other programs.
Hmm.
Is there a specific example that you can, or a moment that you kind of felt that depth that really made that impact for you?
I remember one moment I recall was the very first session where we just talked about the types of trauma, and that was eye-opening for me. I mean, I have a background in mental health. That was my dissertation, as I shared. And just the types of trauma was eye-opening, where we went through and said, let's name some of the types of trauma. And we had this slide, and we had to go to another slide because there were so many different types of trauma. And I said, wow, these are things that might be impacting my clients. I work with tech professionals, and here's all the types of trauma single instances, ongoing, community trauma, systemic trauma. That was really eye-opening just from that very first session and saying, wow, I'm already learning new stuff in the first like 20 minutes of this program.
Great. Okay. And you wrote about students are treated as partners and clients as experts. How did that philosophy shape the way that you coach now with clients?
It's really about honoring and acknowledging their trauma and that they're the expert. I think the word that Moving the Human Spirit uses is wisdom, like turning to that client's wisdom. And that's something the program was really about, even from the beginning of the session. Instead of saying, here's the agenda, asking, like, what would you like to discuss today? What are your goals for today? And gaining alignment on that. So I'm always reminding myself to slow down and check in with the client and allowing them to guide these sessions and this work together and knowing that they have the wisdom to do that. And that's
Yeah.
something I had in the back of my mind, but this program really demonstrated how do you do that and in a trauma-informed way. That just wasn't something I had thought of as deeply until I did this program.
Yeah, nice. Great. Okay. Let's talk about the faculty and your peers. So, one of the things that you talked about was the peers and the genuinely caring.
Mhm.
How did that community environment influence your learning experience?
Mm. A few things. I think one was the examples. A lot of people shared examples confidentially and anonymously of kind of situations they had dealt with that was really helpful. So here's how traumas showed up. Here's how it's impacted my coaching relationships. And then we did a lot of peer coaching. And it wasn't, here's some abstract idea, and then you're not really sure how it would apply. But we did real peer coaching with each other live in triads. So where you would coach someone, they would be the client, there would be someone observing, and then the faculty would observe and give feedback. So, really allowing you every time we learn a new skill to immediately apply it. Because oftentimes when I've done programs, I'm like, okay, here's a bunch of tools. I don't know how I'm going to use this. But instead, you get to use it right there with someone and get feedback and use it in different situations. And then also, something I was surprised about was how much value I got from watching other people coach or even have them coach me and say, oh, that's a different style or a different technique. Using the same tool was really helpful as
Yeah, I
well.
think it's really important to understand that we all come with our own information.
Hmm.
And, even though we are teaching a certain philosophy or a certain style, you get to integrate that into your own style
Hmm.
and use it with your clients.
Yeah, and it was so powerful, just all these different techniques and tools, and see how people adapted them or brought that own lived experience or wisdom. It was really powerful.
Nice. Okay. How about the impact on your coaching career? And so you were already pretty deep into the mental health
Yeah,
expertise through what
yeah.
you already currently are doing. So how did the MTHS training really expand and reshape that for you?
Oh my goodness. It comes up so often with my clients. Oftentimes they'll note, oh, I see that you're trauma informed. I don't think that's really going to apply to me. Or, oh, that's great. You do it with other clients. And then within the first session or two, they say, oh, actually, Kyle, I have some trauma I want to talk about with you. Is that okay? It seems like it's okay. So sometimes it's very directly coming up. Other times it's more indirectly. Maybe they're doing a salary negotiation and then the voice of someone is coming up and we want to start acknowledging that. So it's just so much more often coming up, and then I feel more confident addressing it. Not that I have to be an expert, not that I'm processing their emotions and feelings. I'm not their therapist. That's not my background. But instead, I have tools that I can help them and say, hey, there's this tool I learned. Is it okay if we try it together?
Yeah.
So I feel so much more confident in helping them. And in that, as we talked about earlier, that kind of diversity of trauma as well. There's all these different types. And I'm like, ooh, this is something we discussed in the program. Here's a live example that I get to work through with a client.
Yeah. I think it's really important, yeah, to have that full understanding and knowing that we're meeting our clients and that where they're at.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then just sharing that information. So that's good. Thank you. I know that you work with a lot of senior managers and executives,
Hmm.
right, in the tech industry.
Yeah.
And so, um, are you specifically noticing a difference and an impact in that area?
Yes, I think the slowing down has helped them a lot and helped me a lot. That was some of the feedback I got from the faculty was really slowing down with my coaching even more. And I noticed when I slow down with myself, slow down with clients, we're actually moving a lot quicker through their problems. It's kind of
Mm,
this counterintuitive piece. Um, so that's somewhat, I think, trauma informed, kind of slowing down, being present, and then allowing the client to be in charge. I've worked with a lot of clients who have dealt with similar challenges, so I have these ideas of what might help, but allowing them to be in charge, they come up with these creative, innovative ideas I would have never thought of. That's really powerful. So I constantly have the faculty's head and voices in the back of my head saying, slow down, allow the client to lead, allow them to really be the expert, and that has really shifted these conversations.
good, great. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your personal reflection. When you're looking back, what was the biggest gift this training was able to give you personally?
I think recognizing my own trauma and how that shows up in my coaching work in my life. I think oftentimes with these trainings, it's so much here's about the client, but there's a lot of self work as well and recognizing how that impacts my work with clients.
Yeah.
Often when we're coaching a client, our own stuff comes up as well. So how do I deal with that? How do I manage that? Do I appropriately disclose all of that? And this program really addressed all of that rather than just saying, oh, we're just going to talk about the client. No, we have to talk about ourselves, our self-care. We're holding heavy stuff. How do we manage those emotions and feelings that we have? So it really allowed me to learn more about myself. And then how do I take care of myself so I can more powerfully show up for clients?
Yeah, well, I mean, when we designed the program, I mean, it's a full visual, auditory, kinesthetic experience.
Mhm.
So, and we hear that actually that same thing over and over again from the students themselves. I never realized that I would be able to shift from where I was, because I thought I was doing really well, and most people are. That's why they're in the program. But really, kind of that residual side effects that are still happening and supporting the students through that as well. Because you have to show up. You have to show up authentically,
Mhm.
and you have to bring your stuff with you when you're
Yeah.
doing the coaching.
And I think it's often kind of little things as well that show up with clients. It might be like, oh, I want to say something, but let me be silent and slow down for a moment. Or, oh, I have this suggestion, but let me slow down and ask a question that allows them to be in control. It's kind of these little moments, and all those little things add up in a coaching relationship that are so powerful. And just that voice or that really a new lens that I approach coaching through or look at coaching and say, oh, I have now this trauma-informed lens that I do. I do a lot of speaking too, and still it's there as well, having this lens that I do. And I remember one of the suggestions was not putting people in breakout groups of just two people, because you just have two people, there's no witness. So now I bring that forward when I do workshops, so especially if they don't know each other. I don't want just two people alone in a room. So it's all these little nuggets that I take with me.
Nice. Well, that's good. All right. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody out there that was choosing a trauma-informed coaching program today, what would it be?
Go in open-minded. Harness the power of your lived experience. You're going to be bringing a lot of yourself. This is a lot of work. And then expect the unexpected. I think there was a lot of components through here where I was like, oh, I wasn't even expecting that we'd be discussing or talking about this, or this is different than my background, or a different way than I'd approach it, and be open to that. And now I think of it as like this tool belt where I have dozens of tools where I'm like, oh, this tool would be helpful with this client, or this tool would be helpful here. Yes, I have this lens, but then also I have tools that sometimes there's tools I use every day, and other times I'm like, oh, it's been a year. Let me pull this tool out that I think would be helpful in this situation. And I just feel so much more confident knowing I have all these great tools I can pull out and use with clients.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's important that always sit in that space of learning and
Mhm.
understanding that we do have tools and resources and just being intuitive around that.
Yeah, and I've just become so much more confident as a coach and clients too over clients who have worked with me a long time. I've had people who come back every few years as they're looking for a new job or looking to grow in their career. They're like, "Oh my goodness, your coaching has improved so much." Or they say, "Oh, I see you're trauma informed now. There's some deeper stuff I want to work on." It's really just up leveled the coaching that I do and the results the clients see.
Well, I think that's really important. What you've just said is, when as a regular ICF credentialed coach, you didn't have the ability to kind of unpack that information. So I think lots of coaches, they just kind of scoot around it. They know that there's probably a
Hmm.
trauma in the past, but they don't know how to kind of open the can of worms.
Yeah.
So, as a trauma-informed coach, that gives you that credibility and that ease to be able to have those conversations and not shy away from them.
Yeah, and balance that kind of how do I support you in ways that are appropriate to my credentialing, to my background, my knowledge and skills. And then also, when do I refer? That was something we talked about a lot about. When do I refer? When do I say therapy is more appropriate? How do I balance that if they're working with a therapist and me? All of that was covered in this program. I think I was amazed as I looked back. I was going through my binder. I have a very thick binder of everything. I was like, there's so much covered in here. Anything you could think about with trauma and coaching, we covered in this program.
Wonderful. Okay. If I could ask you one last question
Okay.
to wrap up our conversation, what would that one question be?
Oh my goodness. I think what are the most transformative experience clients have had as a result of this? Like, what am I saying in clients, perhaps?
All right.
Um, I think the way clients show up as a result of the coaching, I don't think it's been like my coaching's completely changed. I think it's that lens or that shift, but clients are showing up in a different way as I am trauma informed now. So it's really amazing to see that as people start discussing their traumas, as we work through that. It's really powerful to see clients, especially ones I've worked with over time. Maybe I just had someone from 2019 reach out, and it's way later, years later. It's amazing to see how much more work we're able to do in the same amount of time by me slowing down, being trauma informed, using these tools. It's really powerful.
Well, I appreciate your time and that today. I think it was a lot of fun being able to go back. When
Yes.
did you take the course?
I think it was 2023, 2024, maybe.
Okay. So you
I've
got
had some.
yeah, so you got some time under your belt for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been able to apply it. I use it a lot. Often the tools are just there. Other times I go get the binder and I say, okay, I have something I want us to try together that's been a while. And clients like that too. They love learning and trying new tools as well.
I think anybody that comes to the coaching table tend to be lifelong learners.
Hmm.
So, and I think that's relevant for both the coach and the client.
Yep.
So they're people that want to learn and they're people that want to grow and they want to do it in a healthy, connected way.
Yes. Yeah. And this gives you the tools to do that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for supporting Moving the Human Spirit. It
Okay.
is always a pleasure having a conversation with you, and I'm sure we will have many more. But you go and have an amazing day today, and we will talk again.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.